Petr Yan versus Cory Sandhagen has been made official. Derrick Lewis versus Chris Daukaus is in the works, and Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson is also official. Plus, a bunch of other fights have been made as well, so I thought, why not give my opinion to all of these fights that have been made in today's MMA news reaction video, starting with the most important one and most recent one. Cory Sandhagen steps in place of Aljamain Sterling against Petr Yan in the co-main event of UFC 267. This will be for the interim bantamweight championship. Petr Yan still wants to fight on that card. I respect him for staying on the card because he could easily sit out and play that game and wait around until Aljo feels more healthy. But he wants to fight on that date, and Cory Sandhagen, credit to Cory Sandhagen, is stepping up against Petr Yan on 4 weeks' notice. Yan is not a guy that most people want to take on anyway, so respect for Cory Sandhagen because he's jumping up on short notice. This isn't an ideal circumstance for him to get a title shot. However, this might be one of the perfect circumstances for him to get a title shot because he probably wouldn't have gotten one unless Aljamain Sterling had pulled out of this bout. But I love this matchup. I know it's not the one we wanted to see because I wanted to see Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling too. But this is such a fun matchup and such a great fight. It kind of cancels out all of the absolute bullshit that's been going on recently in the bantamweight division. I've wanted to see Petr Yan versus Cory Sandhagen for quite some time, and now we finally get to see it. It's not ideal, but this is what we've got, and it's a great matchup, so let me give my opinion on this. I do believe that Petr Yan will beat Cory Sandhagen. However, I do understand how dangerous Cory Sandhagen is for a guy like Petr Yan. For example, Cory Sandhagen, very nasty flying knees. What did Aljamain Sterling land 2 of on Petr Yan in the first round of their fight the first time? 2 knees, right up the middle. Petr Yan is very hunched over. He has a very high guard with a gap up the middle. And Cory Sandhagen is very devastating with those knees. So I do assume that he's going to be looking to land those knees in this bout. I wouldn't even mind an underdog pick of a flying knee KO from Cory Sandhagen. He's very explosive in the first round. But I will say this. The TJ Dillashaw fight did really bring Sandhagen back to reality. There was a moment in Sandhagen's career where he will kicked Marlon Moraes, which now no longer looks like a great win because other people have now gone on to beat Marlon Moraes. Rob Font finished him in the first round with a jab. So maybe Marlon Moraes' chin wasn't the best, but it was a great win looking back. So there was a moment in Cory Sandhagen's career where he was looking completely invincible. Will kick KO over Marlon Moraes in the second round. Looked great before that as well. Broke his orbital bone in the first round against Marlon Moraes. I mean, he broke Marlon Moraes' orbital bone. Then he goes out there against Frankie Edgar, legend of the sport. Flying knee KOs him immediately in the first round. But that TJ Dillashaw fight did really make me believe that Petr Yan can handle Cory Sandhagen. And also, this being on 4 weeks' notice with a guy like Cory Sandhagen, who maybe is staying in shape for this random moment that could have happened. Maybe he was paying attention to Aljamain Sterling's red flags and how he was kind of setting up the fact that he was going to pull out of the bout. And if I was Cory Sandhagen's management, I would be listening to Aljamain Sterling's interview to see how he's recovering from certain things. And if he said anything about feeling some kind of pain or not feeling 100%, I would be telling Cory Sandhagen, listen, stay ready, get in there. And also, I'd speak about his management. It's the same management as Aljamain Sterling, I do believe. So they're going to be in very close contact. And Aljo's manager is going to know that Aljo is not kind of feeling too good in sparring. And he's going to be chucking a couple of words to Cory Sandhagen saying, listen, stay in shape. Aljo just spoke to him over the phone. It's actually a very weird thing that they both are managed by the same guy. I believe they're both managed by the same guy. So it actually is a pretty good thing for Cory Sandhagen because I'm sure he's got a little bit of a heads up to try and get in shape and try and get ready, because the main thing I would worry about for Petr Yan or for Cory Sandhagen would be the weight cuts on 4 weeks notice, because he is a very big bantamweight. But if he has had a bit of a heads up here, plus he's got another 4 weeks to work with as well, so it's not completely short notice, let's be real. I feel like he's got a good chance of upsetting Petr Yan here, but I will be going with Petr Yan. That TJ Dillashaw fight really did show that Cory Sandhagen is maybe not just going to destroy everyone in the bantamweight division. Of course, he had the Aljamain Sterling loss, but Petr Yan is not going to be going out there to grapple with Cory Sandhagen, or maybe he does. I do believe maybe he's going to try and mix in some grappling, but I don't think he's going to be doing it early, because we saw against TJ Dillashaw, Cory Sandhagen's very dangerous off of his back, put him in a triangle immediately into that fight, was going for a leg at one point as well. He's very spindly on the ground, very hard to keep down, very hard to control on the ground. He's a very flexible guy as well, attacks with a bunch of submissions. He's got a very explosive guard, like a Donald Cerrone, like a Showtime Pettis, like a Brian Ortega. I feel like Petr Yan's going to keep this one standing. And one thing we noticed in the TJ Dillashaw fight is that even on one leg, with blood gushing down his face, after 2 years off, TJ Dillashaw can still win rounds in the stand-up realm against Cory Sandhagen. Now, of course, Cory Sandhagen probably should have won that fight based on the 5th round. However, Dillashaw had a lot of success, and I believe he definitely won rounds 1 and 3 in that bout. Now, he did get hurt in round 2, but Cory Sandhagen didn't quite seem to have the same power in his hands to put down a guy like TJ Dillashaw. I do believe that Petr Yan is way better than TJ Dillashaw in terms of his chin, and I think he's better than TJ Dillashaw in terms of his stand-up as well, and I think he's a little bit more powerful than TJ Dillashaw, and I think he's way more composed than TJ Dillashaw as well. However, very dangerous, I understand. I love the matchup though. There's so much to talk about here, but I think that Petr Yan, as this fight goes on, where Dillashaw can make those rounds razor close and start chopping at the legs of Cory Sandhagen and making Cory Sandhagen seem very human, Petr Yan can start really going to that level where he's making rounds close and then start to take over those rounds and then start to dominate those rounds. We saw in the 3rd round of the bout against Cory Sandhagen in the Dillashaw bout, Dillashaw was chopping at his legs very heavy in that 3rd round, was really working for him as well. Cory Sandhagen stands very wide. He likes to use a lot of footwork. Of course, attacking the legs is going to be a very big thing for Petr Yan here. And I think also he's going to try and use grappling. I know I said earlier that he's probably not going to go out there and try and grapple, but now I'm thinking about it. He's just been in a training camp for a while now, knowing that he's going to be taking a rematch against Aljamain Sterling. So he's basically been focusing on his grappling defense, his grappling offense. We saw he had no fear going to the ground against Aljo. And if you look at Aljo and how easily he dealt with Cory Sandhagen, now I know he illegally climbed on the cage with his right foot that people don't talk about because only people can cheat against Aljo. It's never Aljo cheating against them. Never mind. I think Yan might like his chances trying to grapple here, but I don't think he's going to do it in the 1st round. I think he's going to stay very patient in the 1st round, not really engage with anything too crazy, feel out the 1st round against Cory Sandhagen, see what he wants to throw at him, because it feels like Petr Yan just doesn't get hurt in fights, even against Jose Aldo. Some of the body shots Aldo was landing, some of the leg kicks that Aldo was landing, but still Petr Yan shows no difference in his face whatsoever. He's very stoic in the cage. He doesn't show like limps or anything like that, or that he's hurting to the body. He has no visible signs of taking damage in fights whatsoever, so I feel like he's going to download information in the 1st round, see what Cory Sandhagen wants to do, then slowly start finding his singular shots to try and drop Cory Sandhagen, trying to land those leg kicks as well, try and work the body, and then maybe as the rounds go on into 3, 4, and 5, I think we can definitely see Petr Yan going for takedowns, going for the grappling. I know that Cory Sandhagen looked good against Dillashaw in defending some of those takedowns and grappling moments, but Dillashaw literally had one leg in those later rounds, and he was still navigating to the back of Cory Sandhagen and sweeping him to the ground, and Yan is very good at navigating to the back of his opponent, so there's a lot of things that Yan can work on. And also, Cory Sandhagen has not had a lot of time since that TJ Dillashaw bout to really fix all of those problems that he may have had in that fight. Now, I think he's going to dial back on the craziness, Cory Sandhagen, because I feel like it kind of costed him in certain moments against Dillashaw. He would go for a wild technique, end up on bottom. Dillashaw would have control time, land a couple of total strikes as well, and I think that costed Cory Sandhagen. So I think we're going to see a very basic Sandhagen, basically how he fought Marlon Moraes, except for the wheel kick at the end perhaps, and I think he's going to do okay, but I think I can definitely see Yan wearing on him as the fight goes on, breaking him down as the fight goes on, dropping him in round 2, dropping him again in round 3, starting to land to the body, starting to beat him up on the ground as the rounds go on, and I think we could eventually see a late rounds TKO for Petr Yan. I'll say like 5th round TKO against Cory Sandhagen here for Yan. Very good matchup. It's one of the better matchups you could make. I wish it would have been Rob Font, but whatever. Let's talk about other matchups that have been made. Moving on to another fight that's been made. Derrick Lewis versus Chris Daukaus is in the works. Great matchup. Really good matchup in the heavyweight division. Chris Daukaus just beat Shamil Abdurakhimov. Very soon for Derrick Lewis to be turning around after that Cyril Gane loss. However, he didn't take much damage against Cyril Gane because he quit against Cyril Gane. I know people don't like hearing that because, oh, Diaz didn't quit. He's Nick Diaz. But what did he do? He looked at the ref and he said no more. Derrick Lewis finds his way out of fights if he's going to be brutally KO'd. He did take some beatings on the ground as well. He took a lot of shots to the head, but it's not like he got flatline KO'd against Cyril Gane, and they are heavyweights, so anyone can get KO'd anyway, so it's not really about like how quickly you're turning back around. But either way, worrying fight for Derrick Lewis, but I'll tell you this, I don't mind Derrick Lewis's chances here. I think that Derrick Lewis actually is going to beat Chris Daukaus, and I'll tell you why. In the Shamil Abdurakhimov fight with Chris Daukaus, he got hit so many times by a fat old man. And Derrick Lewis just so happens to be a fat old man as well. Okay? But with way more power, way more experience, and a lot better striking than Shamil Abdurakhimov. Shamil Abdurakhimov is a grappler. I have no idea why he never shot a takedown on Chris Daukaus, but he's mainly a grappler. Derrick Lewis has got better stand-up. I think he's way more physically imposing than Shamil Abdurakhimov as well, and I feel like he noticed in that Daukaus fight, which is why he's taken this bout. I think he watched that Daukaus fight and saw that Shamil Abdurakhimov landed a lot of shots on Chris Daukaus in that first round, and he's thinking in his head, if I land those shots on Chris Daukaus, he's not going to be winning that fight against me. He's going to be out cold, asleep. I could definitely see Derrick Lewis winning this one. I think Daukaus left a lot of openings in that fight against Shamil. And I might be picking Derrick Lewis here for the first time in about 5 fucking years. I didn't pick him in every fight I think he's had. Other than maybe against Blagoy Ivanov, I think I picked him. And maybe, no, I picked him against Ivanov, Latifi. He arguably lost both of those. I picked against him in the Cyril Gane fight, picked against him in the Curtis Blades fight, picked against him in the Volkov fight. Still managed to pull some of those ones out, other than the Cyril Gane one, of course. But I do believe that Derrick Lewis can go out there, be physically imposing, land big shots on a smaller Daukaus, maybe take big shots off of a smaller Daukaus as well, because Derrick Lewis does have a very good chin. And man, Daukaus got clipped by a lot of shots against Shamil, and Shamil was very slow and old in that fight, and Daukaus just kept kind of wading in to punches to try and land one of his own. And I don't think you can have that style against a guy like Derrick Lewis, and I think that's why Derrick Lewis is taking this bout. Plus, if Derrick Lewis ends up on top here, it's going to be a world of trouble for Chris Daukaus. He is a very small man for the heavyweight division. Don't see him holding up too well if it goes to the grappling situation. I think this could be a Derrick Lewis win. I don't know why he's taking this bout though, let's be real. Very dangerous. Chris Daukaus could lay him out cold. Very aware that that could be the case, but I'm saying if Derrick Lewis is the underdog here, just smacked my funny bone, but I'm going to firm it because I'm a man. If Derrick Lewis is the underdog here, I'm picking him. I see this as a 50-50 fight. If they dare put Derrick Lewis as a juicy underdog again, I actually will take those odds, and I'll bet him as an underdog, and I'll pick him as an underdog as well. But why not Derrick Lewis? And this really does solidify my point that he's looking at Daukaus as a guy that he can beat, definitely. Why not wait and see if Stipe wants a fight? I guess he doesn't want to fight Stipe Miocic, and that's the only reason I can see, because I'm sure Stipe would jump at this opportunity, because otherwise he's going to be completely ignored when it comes around to back to talking about title shots and everything else. Stipe Miocic is going to be left out on the sidelines, and it's going to be a very bad time for him, because he's going to be asking for a title shot, asking for top contenders, and I don't see him getting any of those fights now, especially because Derrick Lewis has just signed this. I don't know why. He should have looked for Stipe Miocic, in my opinion. Stipe just got KO'd. He's also an older guy. He's also a smaller guy for the heavyweight division. But good for Chris Daukaus, good for the heavyweight division. Another prospect moving up, staying very active as well, wanting to make some more money, which I can admire. It's very dangerous for Lewis, but I don't actually mind his chances here. That's my opinion. Moving on to another fight that's been made. Derek Brunson versus Jared Cannonier has been added to UFC 270, which is the Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 2 card and the Ngannou versus Cyril Gane card. I just made a weird noise breathing there. Finally breathed after so long in this video. Either way, two old men going at it. 37, both of them. Brunson will turn 38 years of age by the time this fight actually happens. Middleweight, I guess, is the only way you can describe that. But either way, great matchup. I'm very glad this one got made. Derrick Lewis was talking about sitting out and waiting for a title shot. That was very bad, in my opinion. I would have hated it if he did that, like Colby Covington did, which was fucking annoying for everyone because he just wasted his prime. Derek Brunson staying active, taking on Jared Cannonier, and I think both of them know that if they didn't take this fight, the other guy was going to get the title shot. So they have to take on the fight against each other to decide who gets the title shot. I know there's Marvin Vettori versus Paulo Costa happening, but these guys have been more active because Paulo Costa's been pulling out. Vettori just recently fought Israel Adesanya as well, and he's already lost twice. The winner of this one, definitely going to get a title shot. I don't see either of them beating Israel Adesanya in any way whatsoever, but that's middleweight. Great matchup, though. I do believe Jared Cannonier is going to win this one. And I know that every time I pick against this fucking blonde cunt, he manages to pull off the upset and win somehow and make my evenings very sad. But Jared Cannonier is going to beat Brunson. Right? Yeah? Surely. Surely Jared Cannonier is going to be beating Derek Brunson here. Right? Please, someone give me some kind of positive affirmation here. I think he's good enough. He's well-rounded enough. He's got a great chin. He's got good cardio. He's got great grappling. He's got really big KO power. He's got really good stand-up as well. I think he's the most well-rounded guy Derek Brunson's taken on in the middleweight division so far. He showed great takedown defense against David Branch, good takedown defense against Jan Kutalaba, who's a great grappler in the light heavyweight division. Cannonier does have great takedown defense. He's got very strong hips. He was a heavyweight before, and I feel like he carries some of that strength into the middleweight division, much like Volkanovski carries a lot of strength into the featherweight division because he used to be so much bigger. I feel like Jared Cannonier's got this one in the bag. Plus, Brunson was getting beaten by Till at the start of the third round. I can see a similar momentum change here, but I don't see Brunson getting Jared Cannonier down in like full mount or half guard or anything like that. I think he maybe will go for takedowns on Cannonier, push him against the cage, get him down to one knee against the cage, but Cannonier's going to work his way back up the same way Ian Heinich worked his way back up to the feet. I do believe Cannonier's much better, much more disciplined, and he doesn't look like a fat cunt when he shows up to fight day with a torn ACL like Darren Till, who looked like he had no fucking training for that Derek Brunson fight. So, I'm trusting in Jared Cannonier here to KO Derek Brunson in the third round. I don't care if it's Blonde Brunson, and there's a curse, and he's going to win every upset that there is. I truly believe Cannonier's got this one. Surely. Surely Jared Cannonier can beat this absolute... He's got good double legs and good timing, I understand, but on the feet, he is an absolute sitting duck against Jared Cannonier, and I could definitely see a second round KO, even a first round KO, but I'll go with a third round TKO. I think Brunson's going to try pushing him against the cage, taking him down, but Cannonier will defend and show great takedown defense, get back to his feet, but Brunson will maybe control him against the cage in that round. Cannonier will find some space, land some good shots, land some good leg kicks, land some good body shots. As the rounds go on, I can see Cannonier turning the momentum, Brunson gassing like he always does in 5-round bouts and becoming really, really slow past the second round, and that's where Cannonier catches him with a check hook rushing in and KOs Derek Brunson in the third round out cold. Neither of them beat Izzy, but I much prefer Jared Cannonier beating Izzy because Brunson has not improved his grappling from the first time he fought Izzy as much as Izzy has improved his grappling from the first time he fought Brunson. So there would just be no anticipation there. It'd be somewhat interesting because it's a cool style matchup. But then again, I don't see Cannonier doing anything to Adesanya either because he's just going to stand on the outside and leg kick him. So, middleweight. Great matchup though. Thank God it's on the card as same card as Adesanya versus Whittaker 2, which means if anything happens, one of these guys I assume is going to fill in for that replacement fight. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Good matchup, good card to be on. I'm glad both of them stayed active and fought each other and actually wanted to earn a title shot the correct way. Very proud of these two men. Moving on to some other fights that have been made. Alexei Oleinik versus Greg Hardy. Last chance here for Greg Hardy. He's got to beat Alexei Oleinik. And honestly, last chance for Alexei Oleinik. And I believe last chance for Alexei Oleinik to hit 60 wins in his career. Might be wrong about that one, but I think he's at 59 right now, which would be crazy and a crazy milestone to achieve with such a great ratioed record. I think Hardy will KO him because Oleinik just does... No, do I? I think I'm going to go Oleinik. And I'm going to keep these ones briefer than the others that I've been breaking down. It's a weird matchup, but they're both coming off losses. They're both outside the rankings. Oleinik looked good against Spivak. Like, he didn't get KO'd, and Spivak's pretty good, and he was out-grappling Spivak in certain moments, and he had Spivak in a scarf hold in certain moments as well. Greg Hardy is just like a bit of a... He's actually not that athletic. He's got quick hands, very fast hands, he's got power in the first round, but I can definitely see Oleinik getting a hold of him, getting a takedown, just like he did against Derrick Lewis, who was stuffing takedowns against Curtis Blades, by the way, and just like he did against Sergey Spivak as well. I know he lost that Sergey Spivak fight, but I don't think Greg Hardy has the cardio necessary to go into deep waters here, and just like I picked Marcin Tybura to beat Greg Hardy, I think I'm going to pick Alexei Oleinik to do so as well. I really do. I think this is a winnable fight for Alexei Oleinik. I think he can take the shots, find a takedown where he needs it. I don't think Hardy is prepared enough for the ground game whatsoever. And plus, Hardy seems to gas out completely after the first round. And Oleinik can still go in those later rounds. I'm going to go with Alexei Oleinik. Weirdly, I know it's difficult to pick him right now, but I'm probably going to go with Oleinik because I truly believe Greg Hardy is, other than some quick hands early, kind of one-dimensional and a real fish out of water on the ground. So I'm going to go with Alexei Oleinik here by submission. Moving on to another fight that's been made. Tai Tuivasa versus Augusto Sakai, which means Walt Harris is out of that bout, I assume, and now Augusto Sakai steps in. It's the loose skin championships here. I'm going to go with Tai Tuivasa getting this win against Augusto Sakai. Augusto Sakai is a pussy. I'm so sorry to say that. There used to be a version of Sakai that was quite savage. But even against Rosenstruik, man, I believe Tai Tuivasa's got this one in the bag. Calf kicks, big hands, landing good shots on Sakai. I don't see Sakai out grappling Tai Tuivasa. I don't see him even going for the grappling. He's probably going to stand on the outside, hesitate to throw kicks, hesitate to throw punches, try some front kicks, try some body kicks, try some head kicks. None of them are going to work, and Tai Tuivasa's going to chop at his calves, slow him down, track him down against the cage, land a big knee to the body, land some big shots against the cage, pound in the head of Augusto Sakai, and get a finish. I rate Augusto Sakai for stepping up. November 20th, by the way, this fight is. But, like, he's just a bit pussy-like in the cage. And I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. He's a pussy. He has no tenacity whatsoever. He has no toughness whatsoever. He just got KO'd by Jairzinho Rozenstruik, already turning around for this one. Tuivasa coming off a hot KO win against Greg Hardy. Took little to no damage in that one other than getting buzzed at one moment in the first round. I'm going to go with Tai Tuivasa getting that win. At least Tai Tuivasa still has a chance in the rankings and a fight stays on that card, I guess. But no, it doesn't. That's now off of 267. 267 is falling apart ridiculously. Moving on. Another fight that's been made for 267. Makwan Amirkhani versus Lerone Murphy. Good fight for 267. I believe Makwan Amirkhani was supposed to fight someone else on this card, but I have no idea who it was. So I'm just going to leave that one as a mystery for you guys to try and figure out, because I'm sure that Makwan Amirkhani was fighting someone on that card, but now he's taking on Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy coming off a good win against Douglas Silva de Andrade, which is a decent win to get. Douglas Silva de Andrade has a good record. He's only lost to some of the best fighters in the world. I believe Lerone Murphy's got this one in the bag against Makwan Amirkhani. Makwan Amirkhani has the same issue every single time he goes out there, and he never seems to improve it whatsoever. Don't see this one being any different. He refuses to address the holes in his game, which is that he's not training hard enough, clearly, to go 3 rounds. He always gasses out, and Lerone Murphy's got really good cardio because he went 3 rounds with Zubaira Tukhugov on short notice, on very short notice, in Abu Dhabi, with all of the atmosphere and the heat in the octagon at the time as well. I think he's going to outlast Makwan Amirkhani and get himself a 3rd round TKO. Plus, Lerone Murphy showed great grappling defense against Ricardo Ramos, I believe it was, who he KO'd in the 1st round with ground and pound. Ramos went to the ground with him, was trying to go for a leg at certain moments. Lerone Murphy showed good awareness, knew what was coming, knew how to adjust to it, landed those ground and pound shots. I can see Makwan Amirkhani having a good moment in the 1st round where he controls Lerone Murphy on the ground, a less good moment in the 2nd where he loses a couple of scrambles. Murphy ends up on top, landing some good shots, pounding away at the body, and then I can see Makwan Amirkhani just diving again for the legs in the 3rd round. Never addresses his cardio problems. I guess he's always going to have them, and then Lerone Murphy finishes the job in the 3rd. Good matchups have been made though, and I'm looking forward to all of these fights. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.